Welcome back, DNA Strand crew, to the newest episode of the Triple Threat Podcast here on the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network. I'm your host, TJ Blake. You can follow me over on Twitter at FFTJBlakeDNA. And we're joined by the guy that we talk about. There's a little blip in time out there in Alaska. Didn't even know we were going live, even though we talked about it like 3 or 4 times. It's our good friend, Nicholas Holt. Dynasty Wiz. You can follow him over on Twitter at DynastyWizFF. Wiz, you told me it was 64 degrees there in Alaska today. And what did I tell you? I said it's a surprise because it's warmer there than it is in Western Pennsylvania. We're at 62. You have your jorts on, as Mike said at the beginning of the video. You feel good right now up there in Alaska.
Oh, yeah. Always feeling great. Feeling great. They're not jorts either. I just want to make that clear. It's khaki shorts. Very nice, very stylish khaki shorts there. But no, it's a beautiful day. It's been a real beautiful week. Actually, just this whole month's been really nice. Like a little bit of rain like here and there, but other than that, you can't complain about it.
Yeah, I know you were happy, and I know you like that 60-plus degree temperatures. That's kind of where you're at, not above 70. I know you're a 60-degree guy.
Well, like 60, 70, it's like 60s and 70s, like that degree is like a sore on the tip of your dick. You just can't beat it,
Okay, all right.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. I'll give you credit. You brought your A game today. And we're also joined by the host of the Dynasty Dogs podcast. He's the Fanatics #1 shopper. He's got the RJ Harvey shirt on right now. The Denver Broncos, one of his guys. It's Michael Anthony. You can follow him over on Twitter at Dynasty Dog Mike. Mike, you really been piling up the collection of merchandise there. You got a lot of your guys. You got RJ Harvey now. I mean, how many different threads do you have of different players right now?
So I've decided each year since I started doing this, I'm going to get like 1 or 2 players that I really like from that draft class and, grab some of the merchandise. Support them, even just a little bit. Any little bit helps, I guess, right? This year I got Restrepo or not Restrepo. Wow, that I don't know why.
You would need to update the logo on that
yeah,
one.
I don't know why I did. Yeah, Cam Ward is one, and then the other one's RJ Harvey. Last year, Roma Dunze. I think there's another one. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. But I just have a whole bunch of different stuff. I kind of like, just rocking it every now and again. So it's fun.
Looks awesome for the shows, too. I really enjoy seeing which ones you come up with there. As long as we don't have any Wiz Ravens ones, they'll be okay. I'll be really happy at that point.
I do have breaking news. This isn't anything fantasy related. Somebody gave this to me years ago. They were friends with my grandmom or something. I have a authentic Brandon Stokely Ravens jersey in white.
Oh, there you go. That's nice. Brandon Stokely was an underrated player.
Yeah, a little bumped out name right there.
Austin Thomas wants to know when you're getting the Dontavian Wicks Fanatics shirt.
Listen, when I die, Austin can bury me in that just so he can let me down one last time.
Oh, Mike, the Dontavian Wicks stuff. Honestly, I don't know if we'll ever hear an end of that. Honestly, Green Bay might move on 3 years and he'll still be around haunting your dreams.
He's going to Philadelphia.
Stinks.
Dropping balls while you're sitting there and dreaming about it. But we got to talk about a lot of good stuff today. We have the wide receiver, tight end, rookie range of outcomes. We're going to talk about a couple of these guys. We were talking pre-show, and there's some people that are down on some of these players, and we were kind of disagreeing with that a little bit, and it's going to be interesting to pick you guys' brains and see exactly what you think as far as these rookie seasons go. But we got a couple pieces of news that are really important that I want to talk about. Brian Robinson got traded to the San Francisco 49ers from the Washington Commanders. I mean, this is a little bit old news, but I really wanted to talk to you guys about it because JCM, getting a lot of hype. Wiz's buddy Bill, like we like to call him, his nickname, JCM, getting a lot of hype in Dynasty circles right now. Mike, let me ask you, I'll start with you as far as this goes with Brian Robinson. What does this say for like Christian McCaffrey and maybe the 49ers backfield? And what do you think overall this means for JCM in the Washington backfield? I'll let you go ahead and explain what your feelings are for both teams and all these players here.
So when it comes to Brian Robinson and the 49ers, I think this is really nothing more than just the Jordan Mason replacement, right? A guy who doesn't really catch the football, runs in between the tackles pretty well, stuff like that. And then you've got guys, that entire rotation of running backs in San Francisco, other than Brian Thomas and CMC, is hurt, if I'm not mistaken. So they needed to bring somebody in, right? And I guess Brian Robinson was probably the best option that they could. They could have just waited and taken Damian Martinez off the practice squad, right? Now
Yeah.
that he's available. But then when it comes to JCM, I mean, this is great for him. This is great for his trajectory as a football player and for Dynasty. But to be honest with you, I'm selling because I've seen him going for second round picks uh, relatively often. So I'm getting off that as much as I can because that's a really good return on investment because either you drafted him with the last pick of your fantasy draft or in your rookie draft, or he was a waiver claim. So you probably paid $5 on Fab, and now you just got a second round pick for it. Can't really beat that.
No, you can't. That's good return on investment, no doubt about that. And I tend to agree with you, Mike. Like, look, this is a guy. We see this with late round running backs, undrafted running backs. I mean, they just don't hold a lot of steam real long. And Washington's a team to me that I think could change a little bit here and there. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see as far as JCM goes as his future. But if I could get a second, I'm like you. I'm just going to move him. I mean, maybe you can get a veteran player that you like as well in a one-for-one swap. That's
There's
on
a
the
player I think we're talking about tonight that you could swap one for one, a veteran.
I like it. We're interested in getting into more of that. But Wiz, okay, the Brian Robinson trade. You are the San Francisco 49er chronicler. That's what I call you now. You were the Bears Glacier Glazer. Now you're the San Francisco 49er chronicler. Now, let me just ask you, Brian Robinson, as Mike mentioned, a lot of running backs hurt, and you drafted CMC, you said, in a redraft league.
Both of mine.
Yeah. Are you a little bit worried now with Brian Robinson, this move, or do you think this is more of an insurance policy? And do you think that maybe there isn't any kind of red flags there?
I mean, I don't think it brought any new red flags into San Francisco, right? I think kind of going into learning from last year's mistakes with Chris McCaffrey is that he is an aging guy. He has a lot of injury histories, right? And it's best to keep this guy healthy. And if you could get a backfield that's cycling in and out, right, to limit Chris McCaffrey touches so he doesn't need to be out there 80, 90% of the time on the field, that's going to be better for Chris McCaffrey, better for the team's success long term, especially going for the postseason playoff run, right? I still think San Francisco is a playoff team. I think that's general consensus now. Everyone's kind of gotten off of the 49ers are not going to be a good team anymore. And everyone's like, okay, we're back into it. Okay, Mike's, I guess, still on the Hayden bandwagon because, the Niners and Eagles. He just doesn't want to stay
Listen,
in the playoffs.
that team, go look at the amount of injured players that they have. They're going to be starting nobody.
Dude,
I think
listen, this is the Niners' problem every year is that they're always dying. Like Baltimore has this issue every now and again too. Like we'll just tear a bunch of Achilles and ACLs, and we'll get that out of our system right away. And that's what the Niners are doing. They're taking a play out of the Ravens playbook. But no, I mean, I think it's a great move for Brian Robinson, right? And if you're asking which one is the one to roster behind him for your cuff, that's a good question. I mean, I think Rendo's still probably the two there. I mean, he looked pretty decent. He's hurt. Yeah, of course. Jordan James, rookie, they drafted in the 4th or 5th round. I can't remember.
Hurt.
He's hurt. Oh, God. I'm just going to go through the whole entire depth chart now.
That's what I'm saying. Like they have nobody.
Yeah, but I mean, Brian Robinson's there. And then going over to the Commanders side of the ball, I talked about this in the offseason. I said Austin Eckler's a great buy. You get him for a pair of socks, a 4th round pick. I think, Mike, you laughed and you're like, why would I want to buy a 30-year-old running back? And now it's looking like a genius play because, I saw the crystal ball. Brian Robinson was going to get traded.
I did give you a shout out on the Dynasty Dogs podcast for that this past episode.
I appreciate that. But going on with Bill, right? I had a conversation. I got to look through my Discord messages to figure out. Oh, Notorious BWO, shout out to you. He was like, what should I be doing with him? And I was like, the range of outcomes for him is that he could be like a Trey Sermon. He could be, I was just naming off some like random running backs that just never did anything right. Like those chances are higher than him being a Pacheco or a James Robinson. However, everything I've heard from Commanders, like beat reporters and everything, is that they love this guy. My biggest worry is like I'm not worried about Austin Eckler, right? He's going to get his limited touches, right? I think they still want to keep him healthy going in there, especially after a concussion last year. And I think he might have had like a couple of hamstring like tweaks here and there, but he didn't really miss too much other than that big concussion he had from the kick return. Is they do like Jeremy McNichols, and seems like he tends to be their goal line back, and that's it's it's like he's limited on the upside, but I don't know. Like for me, I'm a gambler in the lot of sense that if someone's offering me a second, I'd probably hold out and just see. Because I mean, this position could be a really valuable thing for the Commanders' backfield in general, right? And we've seen it before, right? We always project Isaiah Pacheco's gonna get replaced. He still has got replaced. Spoiler, maybe unless Elijah Mitchell stays healthy and can take his job. But like this is a high. We are projecting it to be another high scoring offense, and to get any pieces on that, especially if you got Bill for so cheap, right? It was like a fourth, fifth round. Sometimes he was undrafted on the waiver wires. And I mean, you could turn a prof right now. I can't fault you for that. However, this is once again a Pacheco. It could be a Puka Nakua situation, but it's not that high of a upside, right? I'm not saying Bill's going to hit Puka Nakua's ceiling ever, especially in value wise, but it's definitely one of those things that you could hold on to him and he might be worth a first later, or you could cash out, get a second now, and play it safe.
Would you take a second now, Wiz?
No, I'm a gambling man. I'm up $4,000 from this week from gambling. So,
I'm gonna call that 1-800 gambler line. We got Wiz. Yeah, but I'll tell you,
it's not a problem unless you're losing money, and I'm up $4,000. So
okay. Well, I'm glad you're winning. I never pull against you in that, so I'm glad you're winning. But let's go ahead and talk about the other piece of news. And Wiz, since I have you pulled up, we'll just start with you right now. Jacoby Myers requests a trade from the Raiders. Now, Mike did say before the show started that he was at practice today, so maybe cooler heads are starting to prevail here, but you guys know how I feel about Jacoby Myers. Really, all of us collectively like Jacoby Myers a lot. I mean, as a flex, third receiver type guy in fantasy football, in any kind of settings. But do you think he leaves the Raiders? Do you think this might get ugly, or do you think that he stays there? And do you think that's the best thing for him?
It's tough. It really is, right? It could just be a lot of different things, right? Las Vegas has kind of been not just they've been turning and burning head coaches. The third head coach now, or maybe fourth in 4 years. Because I don't know. Like it's just to me, there's a lot of turn and burn, and maybe he's getting tired of it, right? He wants to be more in a stable franchise with the thing. He definitely wants to get paid. Mike brought up a good point off the air, which I won't touch on it. Let Mike touch on it because that was his stats there. But just looking at the depth chart, right? I mean, you have Jacoby Myers as the one. They have Amari Cooper right now listed as the wide receiver 2. Trey Tucker as wide receiver 3. Dante Thornton Jr. as the 4. And like there's a lot of upside in this thing, right? Chip Kelly's gonna be a fast, getting the ball out fast type of thing, and that's kind of what it's made it seem like in there that Aiden O'Connell was struggling because he was not getting the ball out fast enough for Chip Kelly. And I think that's gonna help guys that can get open in the line of scrimmage. I think Jacoby Myers is a guy that can play inside, outside, right? He's definitely a versatile wide receiver that's just really good. He's a good football player. I would say he's not an alpha, right? He shouldn't be a 1, but he's definitely a really good complementary to that could be the one if you need him to be the one out there. And I don't know, like he's definitely a guy that I'm interested in buying, right? Especially if you get him for the seconds that you've been able to buy him for the last, I don't know, 3 since his whole career. Maybe he's worth a little more now, probably 2 seconds now, but maybe with this news, you could get a little buy low and be like, look, he might, especially if there's rumors he's going to be sitting out, but he's back at practice. So that does not seem like a contract dispute. It could just be an internal thing. They're keeping it quiet, but I don't know. Like I'm still interested in Jacoby Myers. I think for his best outcome is for him to stay in Las Vegas. There's rumors that New England's chasing after him, which again, you can behind a kind of a crowded wide receiver room that could turn into Green Bay's real quick, right? There's a lot of interesting prospects there. Stephon Diggs, but who knows when he's going to come back, if he's going to be 100% healthy and when that's going to be, right? So there's a lot of question marks there. So it makes sense for New England to get him there, which I don't hate it. I just think it's most of the time the grass is not always greener for these guys. And it's, what you have here in Las Vegas, and he has an upgraded in quarterback situation with Geno Smith. So I think it just makes sense for him to stay put.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you, but like my reasoning is different. Like, I don't think Jacoby Myers will fall off the cliff no matter where he goes, just from his standpoint of like being so consistently good, being such a pro's pro. Like, I think he could go to a lot of different offenses and flourish. But my thing is like, okay, he finished wide receiver 19 last year. Like you said, Wiz, he's not a number one guy, but when he's getting peppered with targets, that helps propel him even more. And on a team like the Raiders, that's what's going to happen. So, like, I'm with you. I think him staying on the Raiders is the best case fantasy wise. But if he does go somewhere else, I don't think it kills him. I don't think it destroys him by any means, but he might go back to more of that back end wide receiver 2, midish wide receiver 3 type of guy, Mr. Reliable. But it was great to see what he did last year. Hopefully he stays there and keep it going. Mike, we'll talk about Jacoby Myers with you real quick. Wiz said some of the stats and things that you talked about. Let's go over Jacoby Myers in your mind. Do you agree with him saying that the grass ain't always greener? We'd like them to stay with the Raiders, and we think that's kind of best for a player like him. Can you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. The only what Wiz is talking about is the stats of Terry McLaurin. I can't take full credit for it. I saw it somewhere on Twitter. 87 receptions, 1,027 yards, 4 TDs. Compared to Terry, Terry obviously had a lot more touchdowns, but he also had a different quarterback playing. 82, 1,096, and 13 TDs. But, Jacoby did that with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. So even if he gets those touchdowns up just a few more, we could see a really nice season out of him. I do think this is the best situation he could be in right now. He's going to get peppered with targets outside Brock Bowers. Is the best quarterback that he has had in quite some time, I would imagine. So, but this also goes back to, you mentioned a veteran that you could sell JCM for. This is the guy I was going to mention. You could probably sell JCM for Jacoby Myers and maybe even get something sprinkled on top of that just because of the hype of JCM. I would absolutely do that. I think, if Jacoby could go to a team that, maybe like Atlanta, where they have an alpha wide receiver, but then, they have a strong arm quarterback who's going to want to stretch the field to get the ball out. That could still be good. But I still really like this fit in with the Vegas Raiders, with Geno Smith, with Pete Carroll. I almost forgot his name for a coach for a second. But yeah, I like this fit. Yeah, I just hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Hopefully he stays put there. And I love what you said about JCM. Could you get like Jacoby in a third, or maybe Jacoby and another player? Like, the hype machine's unreal sometimes behind some of these players. But I'm with you on that, Mike. Let's talk about some rookie receiver and rookie type.
Real quick, I just want to ask this question. All right, I got to ask this question about JCM before we kind of move off from 100%. So this guy, so a member in our Discord, he got a trade offer. So he's gonna be trading JCM and Rashee Rice for Garrett Wilson and Isaiah Likely. And I said, to me, that does not seem like enough, because Rice and Garrett Wilson are basically the same, like close enough, in value. I think maybe Garrett Wilson's premium. I think it is a tight end premium, but 0.5, so it's not a hyper. And for me, right? I mean, Baltimore fan, right? Isaiah Likely is a guy that's behind Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews be in Baltimore for a long time. Everyone loves him there. Coach loves him. Lamar Jackson loves him. But Isaiah Likely is still gonna get his. It's just how much of his is he gonna get? And that was my whole thing. That I think I could get more for JCM. That's what I told him. But maybe you guys differ.
No, I agree with you. Just based off the fact, like you said, Wilson and Rice are close. I mean, any way you want to cut it, like you want to put them in a dynasty value type deal, they're very close to me. And I mean, you look at it, you're just gambling on if JCM does hit. They're just say he's even like a 1 or 2 hit wonder. Say he comes out early and he has like a 20 or 30 point game in week 1 or week 2. The prices are going to skyrocket on this guy, and then you're going to really be able to cash in. Like how Wiz is saying, he's gambling. Like, if you gamble to that point, could you get up to a first territory? It's possible. People make crazy trades all the time. So I'm like you, Wiz. I don't think it's enough for me to move off him just for Likely. I don't know how Mike feels. Are you any different than me there, Mike?
No, not so much. I mean, I'm not any different than either one of you guys. I think this is just a 1-for-1 trade with Garrett Wilson and Rashee Rice. And then Isaiah Likely, if it was +1 tight end premium and maybe you can wait a little bit, if you're not a competing team, I think I would do it. Half, I mean, it would really depend on what my tight end landscape looks like on that roster. Like if he has nobody and he's really just rebuilding, I think I'd partially be okay with it. Maybe you can get something else on top, but again, I think I would just rather hold.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think we all are in agreement there, but let's hop into these rookie range outcomes. Last week did the quarterbacks and running backs. I want to see what you guys think, and I want to see if it does go badly, what's your approach with some of these guys? How high were you on them maybe before the draft? How high were you on them after the draft? Did anything change? And what are we looking at looking into our crystal ball here right before the 2025 season kicks off? And we're going to start with the wide receivers. Mike, I have you pulled up. We'll start with you right now. Teteroa McMillan with the Carolina Panthers. Look, I've said it kind of all off season. It's not that I don't like the player. I like the player a lot. And I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be a terrible player. I just think it could be a little bit more of a slower start in 2025 for a guy like this on a team that's predominantly a run-first team with Dave Canales and on a team that has some other wide receivers that are veteran type guys there that are behind them. I'm not saying that they're better, but you got to earn your stripes and you got to be able to earn more and more playing time as you go. And I've said it, Bryce Young, Tet McMillan, kind of a match made in hell to me. Like there's matches made in heaven, there's matches made in hell. So I just don't know if he's going to be able to get him the ball enough to make him a super efficient guy, especially year one. So I'm anxious to see what you think about this. Where do you see him finishing, and what do you think it's going to be like rookie season for Tet here?
So I was also kind of low on Tet coming into the draft, coming out of the draft. I have liked what I've seen this preseason with the connection with him and Bryce. There's not a whole lot of targets to feed in that offense, and they just cut Renfrow today, which, I mean, it is what it is. There's been rumors that Adam Thielen could get traded. I think that's a possibility. And then the room for all the growth for Tet McMillan is huge, right? Because then there's really just him and Leggett at that. Oh, and Jalen Coker, he's looked really good as well. But I think the Tet Bryce match has looked all right, and I'm kind of gaining some trust in both of these guys. Anywhere between 18 to 22 for Tet McMillan, I think, as a mid-range wide receiver 2 feels about right. Any higher than that, I would kind of be surprised. I don't see him as this complete dominator, like a wide receiver 1, even maybe like a wide receiver, 13 through 15. I don't know if I see that. There might be a few years like that, like a Michael Pittman. Right. You might see a guy like him sneak in there every once in a while. Wide receiver 18 to 22 is not a bad option. And even if you got him in your mid-first round pick, you're going to be pretty happy with that. Just consistent play. I just never was really high on the player. I liked a little bit of the other guys around him, like Emeka Ibuka, Luther Burden. I think they have higher upside than him. But again, I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, let me just be honest. Like, scouting the player, I like the player. It's just the landing spot wasn't everything I was hoping it would be, right? I mean, like, this does matter a little bit to me, and that's why I think he's going to be affected early. But when you said Michael Pittman, Mike, like, that rang in my head. Like, I think at worst you're going to get Michael Pittman. At best, maybe get Drake London. I think that's what you're kind of hoping for. It could be somewhere in between. But look, I mean, it could be up and downish like Michael Pittman. I'm not knocking Tet McMillan. I like the player, but I just think that it could be up or downish just based off this offense, kind of like you said with Pittman. Is the quarterback going to be the same? I mean, I think Bryce Young's going to get every opportunity. Let's hope he takes another step forward. I liked what I seen down the stretch last year, but and you mentioned Adam Thielen getting traded. Like, I think that would be huge for Tet McMillan. And really for the Panthers in general, I think this would be a good move. Look, I get you want to win games. Everyone wants to win games, but they are in a place where they're just not quite where they need to be a serious competitor yet. If you move him and you let Coker, Leggett, and Tet have these reps and let them kind of fight it out and see what you have in these guys. Can you agree with that?
I agree and disagree, right? If that makes sense, just because I understand they're a young team that really isn't going anywhere just now. They could use some extra draft picks for future wide receivers that they're going to draft. I really do like Thielen still as a safety blanket for Bryce Young, right? When the play breaks down, if you need somebody that's open within 5 to 10 yards, Adam Thielen's going to be your guy. Especially at this point, he could still win at that level. So just to build confidence for your quarterback and a veteran savvy wide receiver like Adam Thielen isn't the worst case scenario. But then the rumors he's getting is he's going to Minnesota. So that would be a very similar, thing for JJ McCarthy, right? So I don't hate the thoughts of Adam Thielen, being on a young team to help out a young quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of good points. I mean, you could make a case either way for sure. Wiz, Tet McMillan, let's see what side of the coin you're on because, Mike's feeling a little bit better about him after what he's seen in preseason and everything with Bryce. And, this offense may be ascending just a little bit. We're not going to put him up there with the stars or anything, but we're hoping for a little bit of an ascension for sure. What are you thinking about Tet McMillan? Where do you see him finishing? And do you think it could be a slow start for him his rookie year here?
Yeah, I think I've said it before a decent amount of times now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has a career arc like Drake London. And I think, I don't know, just like you said, TJ, I don't think Bryce Young's the best quarterback for him. I don't think the play styles line up very well. I don't know what the Panthers plan on doing. I know Jalen Coker right now is a guy that I'm out there trying to buy, right? You should go out there, send a second, right? Maybe a second gets them, pay a little bit more, maybe throw in piece type of thing. I would trade JCM for him straight up. All right, you probably might get a little kickback.
Yeah, you probably
maybe
could. I like that. That's a good thought process, though. I like that.
But for me, I like Ted. Wide receiver 3, I think, would be considered a win for me this season. If he finishes in the top 36, I think even that might be a little too tall of a task for him. That
really,
yeah, right. You just have all these wide receivers nowadays, Mike. That's like it's a passing game, so wide receivers just get a lot of points constantly. And if he's not going to be the main focus point, right? I mean, he might be the main focus point, but if he's not getting all the targets, all the touchdowns, right? I think Jalen Coker and Adam Thielen, those guys that played those underneath, where Ted's gonna be playing the outside, and I just don't know if Bryce is gonna be able to deliver the ball where it needs to be all the time. So
okay, so let me just say this: you're saying maybe wide receiver 3-ish. I'm going to say I'm thinking about 28, 29. That's where I'm going to put him. I think he can get there. I mean, it's going to still be a little bit tough, but okay. So Mike, you're a little bit surprised by that as far as Wiz's reaction, where he's at as far as the finish goes. Do you think, like, we're going to talk about some of these other guys, do you think he has like a top 3 finish between these rookies this year? Like, could he finish that high between some of these other guys, in your opinion? You think he could be a top 3 contributor fantasy wise in 2025 based off just rookies?
Based off the rookies. Just wide receivers or all the positions?
Yeah, just receivers. Just receivers.
You got a Mecca, I think that'll potentially finish higher because, like I said, I think Tet is in. I said 18 to 20. I think I'd push that back to 20 to 23, 20 to 22. But I think a Mecca could finish slightly higher. I think that's tough. It really depends on Travis Hunter, to be honest with you, what he does. I know you guys are super low on him, but I mean, if he comes out and just game breaks the way he could, I think he would finish behind him. But top 3 with this wide receiver class, I think he could be 3rd.
Okay, interesting. And I think I would put him there too. I have to agree with you, Mike. And Wiz, same to you. Do you think he could be a top 3 finisher amongst rookie receivers? Or are you not going to put him that high? I want to know, because you were sitting there saying, look, we know this wasn't the greatest receiver class after what we were blessed with in 2024, right? But you're sitting there saying, you're thinking wide receiver 3 would be a win. So would you put him in top 3 rookie contributors at receivers this year?
Man, you really put me on the spot here. Top 3. I mean, if he doesn't get there, right, I think that's kind of a disappointing type of thing, right? Because I mean, who could beat him, right? Travis Hunter is a possibility, right? Emeka Ibuka, another possibility of Matthew Golden that might be able to beat him out.
Yeah, I don't know why I blanked on him. I was trying to think of all the names and I just couldn't think of them off the top of my head. That's a good call. He's surprising me.
Yeah, Jaden Higgins as well, a guy that I think we all like there, Trey Harris, but now the Chargers wide receivers a little bit more crowded with Keenan Allen coming back there. But I'm just going to say no, because that's how much I'm worried about him. I do have a few shares. I've won in a contract league. That's really hard to move them because I'm pressed against the cap right now because I acquired a lot in the free agency, but I paid for it. So it's kind of hard to trade those rookie guys if you ever play contract leagues. It's trying to get value for it, try to figure all that out. It's a mess. But so I'm stuck with them right now. But I'm hoping for the best. But I like top 5 out of the class, I think is a pretty like 85, 95%. But top 3, I think it's probably like 42, 45%.
Could go either way. Could go either way, basically. Okay, so I have them at 3. And Wiz, we love to hear that you run your team like the New Orleans Saints when you're right up against the cap. At least you're not under the cap.
Well, I make money disappear with the Saints. You know,
did you see the news that they're starting Rattler?
Yeah,
I've
seen that. They're going hard to get Lenore Sellers or True Hour or somebody in this next.
Man, I couldn't believe that, to be honest. I mean, I know we're going off a little off topic, off the top, off here, but I was, I liked Shuck, right? I didn't.
Yeah.
Wasn't a first round guy. I thought second, third round. He ended up getting second round capital, early second round capital. I thought they would have at least fucking started him. Right?
That's what I thought.
I thought Rattler stinks.
You take him in the second. I mean, it's kind of hard to justify. I mean, playing Rattler over him. The guy's played a ton of college football in Shuck. So, I mean, why would you not at least see what you have? I mean, I don't know. They're not going anywhere anyway. So maybe this is the plan. Maybe they just want to be really, really bad. Maybe they swerve us. But let's get into the next player here. And I'm going to start with you here, Mike. Is it your guy? It's Travis Hunter. Look, this is a player that very polarizing. And I don't love the player, as everyone knows, but let me just say this. Like, being in Jacksonville, this is another problem to me. What's going to happen with this offense? Brian Thomas Jr., to me, is still that dominant number 1 type guy. And I don't think really many people could come in and take that from him. And it's not a knock against Hunter there. I just think that that's the case. He's going to be more that alpha presence. But how's it going to work with this Jacksonville team? Because I will give Bob credit about one thing. It's like, do they have a plan? Can you trust them to have a plan? And can he hold up to the wear and tear if they do play him on both sides? What are you thinking here? Now, we talked about top 3 finishes. Could you see that in his outcome? And where do you think he finishes overall this season?
It's crazy. Travis Hunter probably falls in he could be number 1 or he could be like number 7 from this rookie class, right? Just because of the talent level that I believe he has, just because I do think that they are going to want to let Trevor Lawrence sling it this year, because you really do need to see what you have with him and in that offense, because Trevor Lawrence is on the clock no matter what happens, right? I would imagine to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I think Travis Hunter, he's banged up right now. He missed the last preseason game with an injury, which it could have been just something slight, and they didn't want to risk it. So they were just like, let him sit this one out. I could see wide receiver 3 outcome, and I would be okay with that. At the low, that's kind of like the safe floor for me. But if he hits that ceiling, I think we could see top 15.
Okay, interesting. So, Mike, a little bit higher on this player, as he mentioned, Wiz, than we are. But I tend to agree with him. I think wide receiver 3 is reasonable. I think it's within reason. I think he could get there. But this Jacksonville offense, we talk about culture with Big Culture Bob, that he's not a Jaguar fan as far as plans go, as far as an offense goes. Trevor Lawrence, what are we going to see with him? Because like Mike mentioned, the clock's ticking. We haven't seen much. Where do you see it shaking out for Travis Hunter this year, Wiz? And do you like this player anymore? As your opinions change? Where are you at?
Yeah, I have 0 shares, right? My opinions of him have not changed. And Mike, I know you're shaking your head, but you have to understand that Travis Hunter is the biggest risk you can make in startups right now, especially in startups. Like, his value is disgusting in startups. Rookie drafts, right? I mean, I had an opportunity to draft him at the 110 in a 10-man league, Mike, and I was like, oh, fuck, I got to fucking draft him. And then I got a trade offer in there. I got DJ Moore in a first or a second back or something like that.
That was a decent move. We talked about
and then,
that.
Yeah, and then they drafted Mecca Ibuka, and then Travis Hunter went at 2-2. So at that value, that makes sense, because that's the 112 essentially, right, in 12-man league. I'm fine with taking the gamble on that, but in startups, it's disgusting, right? The range of outcomes for him, I don't think he's ever going to crack the wide receiver 1. He's going to be in the top 12 ever for dynasty purposes. Ever. He will never be ranked like top 12 overall in his career.
I thought you meant like scoring.
Oh, scoring, he might hit it. That's maybe at one point in his career, but as a top 12 dynasty asset, I don't think he ever will hit that ceiling, right? And I think that's a lot of people are projecting, and I do not see that upside for him. So that's the reason why I'm kind of just out, right? And He's gonna be playing corner. How much is he gonna be playing corner? It's just disgusting to me. I don't want to play this game of back and forth of, I don't know. It's gonna be a frustrating play to roster, right? I think IDP leagues, it makes a lot of sense to have him and draft him. I think he's a tremendous asset in that formatting, but other than that, I'm just not interested. I just don't. It just gives me the ick. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes as a wide receiver 4 or 5 this year, to be honest with you, Mike. I think Roman Wilson will outscore him. Shout out Roman Wilson. I got my question going. We got to talk about Roman Wilson here. Roman Wilson will outscore Travis Hunter this year, Mike. We can make a bet on that right now. We can do a little $10, $20 fantasy cares bet.
We could even do more than that. Fuck.
You're that confident.
That's crazy talk, man.
I'm just saying that's how much I'm out on Travis Hunter. I have 0 shares of him, right? And if I'm wrong, I don't think the cost to buy back into
because I've liked a lot of your takes recently, and you just really just fucked up everything.
Yeah, you might say that, Mike, but listen, we're going back to it, right? I've been giving you credit more, especially if you hit Amari and Hampton. I said I'm going to shut the fuck up and listen to Mike about running backs, but if Travis Hunter flames out, I think you need to just listen to TJ and I about wide receivers most of the time now, or just give us a little more weighted opinion on it, because maybe we're just a little bit. You're the running back guru, and TJ and I are just the wide receiver whisperers.
Well, it's like this. It's like the justice scales. It's like it balances itself out. I mean, that we all agree. And honestly, I tend to take you guys' opinions more seriously. Like if I have to second look at something because you say it, I will, because I trust your knowledge. You've been around the game a long time and you do a good job. So we all kind of hit on different things and we miss. That's the part of the game. But let me just say this, and I tend to agree with the point that Wiz made as far as it wouldn't surprise me if it's 4 or 5, wide receiver 4 or 5. And it's not just a knock against Hunter. It's Jacksonville, right? I mean, this team, at one time, if you look back, we talked about how explosive, how much we were hoping for them to take even more of an ascent, and they just went right back down to the basement, right? So I think that has got to be on your mind and a little bit of an issue too. But like Mike, I think his ceiling this year is wide receiver 3 to me this year. I think that maybe at worst wide receiver 4 or 5. But, I just think that it could just be such a fall off, or it could be such a bump. I mean, this team could go either direction. It's so hard to predict with the Jaguars in general. And I kind of agree with Wiz when he said, do you really want to take that risk? I mean, not just as a player with this team. Do you really want to take that risk? Because outside of Brian Thomas, everything's been a letdown in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. I mean, guys that we were really hyping up fantasy seasons for has just come falling crashing down. So that's kind of where I'm at. Now, let me ask you this, Mike. I know that you are a little bit different than us on this. Would you tear down to another one of these receivers? Maybe if you could get a second or 2 seconds in one of these guys, say you could get 2 seconds in Matthew Golden. Would you tear off Travis Hunter, or are you sticking with him?
Oh, man. If you would have asked me this maybe during the preseason, I would have said no. Or before the preseason, I would have said no. Matthew Golden has really started to look good, in my opinion. I'm gaining a lot more interest. So yeah, from the value standpoint, I think I would take that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I seen on film. I mean, with Matthew Golden, and it's just, can the Green Bay offense commit to one receiver? Can they commit to having him on the field more? I really like this player, and it's just a matter of, can Green Bay figure out their wide receiver room? Wiz, I'm guessing you would take that, no doubt, a trade like that for Travis Hunter.
It was Travis Hunter in 2 seconds, or Travis Hunter for Matthew Golden 2 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah. I would take it, right? We talked about Matthew Golden, I think, a decent amount in this show, and I think, I said it before that I think this is the Christian Watson guy that they wanted, the guy that could stretch the field, that could kind of do a lot of different things for that Green Bay offense, right? Is he going to be a prototype alpha that you would look for on a team? Absolutely not. But, there's other guys that fit, that kind of turn into an alpha, but they never really fitted the mold for it, right? I think DJ Moore is a great example of that. Is he going to turn DJ Moore? That's not what I'm saying. But you've seen guys like Matthew Golden before have a lot of fantasy success early on in their career. Like Hollywood Brown, I think, is a great example of what his ceiling could look like. He's I think Hollywood Brown finishes a wide receiver 1 once in his career. And if you get that with Matthew Golden, I think that's definitely a win. And if you look at Marquise Hollywood Brown, he dealt with a lot of injuries. So if Matthew Golden has a better career where he stays healthy and stuff like that, I think it's wheels up for him. Definitely a guy I like a lot.
Yeah, and again, I like that comp. I mean, as far as like, look, if it goes really well, maybe you want to move Matthew Golden, and I have no problem with that, right? Like, I don't think he'll ever be a dominator. Very crisp route runner who's got good speed. Again, I like the player. Green Bay, can we trust him? That's the big question. We liked what we seen in preseason. I liked what I seen on the film. Can we trust Green Bay to commit to one or two guys and not run this gauntlet of people out there and put Dontavian Wicks to bed? Did he make the team, Mike? Did Dontavian Wicks make the team?
I haven't been alerted to.
He has the Google like alert set up on his phone. So as soon as like Dontavian Wicks cut, he's getting a notification.
I have to double check. They moved one of their wide receivers to corner, but I forget who it was. It wasn't.
Oh, that was Bo Melton.
It was Bo Melton. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of surprising. So I guess by that theory, Dontavian Wicks did make the roster.
Oh, there ain't going to be ice cream tonight at the Anthony household. Not tonight.
No, I actually have it. I just got some.
Oh, did you? You're just getting ready.
Okay.
No, because I'm going to have to eat my sorrows away from fucking Wiz saying Roman Wilson over Travis Hunter. It's just.
Well, I'm not saying for value wise. I'm just saying like
fantasy score. No, I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I was to make sure that I did not say that.
To cope with that. Because I don't even, like. I can't even like. I got mad at first, but I can't even thoughtfully give you a response because that was just the hottest.
So out of pocket. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
On the Roman hype train. Wiz is on it. But Wiz, let me just ask you, you have something that you want to start here.
Oh, wait, hold on. I texted Rich what Wiz said about Roman Wilson versus Travis Hunter. His response via text messages is Wiz short for Skip Bayless. That's not even a hot take. LOL. That's worse.
Oh, come on, Rich. You can't get Wiz. He's just sticking up for one of my guys, too. I can't let that.
Skip?
Yeah.
Whatever his last name is.
Yeah.
I'll be Skip Bayless if I get a couple $1 million,
Fair.
Fuck it.
That's fair.
Wiz is really
got more money than all of us. I'll take that job any day.
He's throwing it at the wall and sees what sticks here. But Teixeira asked 9 more days into the NFL kickoff game. How pumped are you guys? Ready for that game? Who are you taking to win in best fantasy performers between Cowboys and Eagles?
Wiz, you're fucking smiling, and I swear to God, if you say what I think you're going to say, I'll log off. I'm not having this conversation.
Don't say it. No, have Mike off.
No. The reason why I was thinking about doing it, Mike, is because I was going to do the Eagles chant. So I can't believe you were going to like.
No, that's not you. You're fucking.
No, that's
bullshit.
whatever. I was gonna be like, I was gonna start singing it, but now you killed it. You killed the mood. But no, Eagles are 100% gonna win the game. I don't think Dallas is gonna be that good. I think it's gonna be a team that's gonna. They're just going to do what Dallas thinks. They're either going to barely make the playoffs or they're going to barely miss it. And I think that's what Cowboys are. Cowboys are Cowboys. This is their year that they're going to say. And then we'll go back through the cycle that they're going to have injuries, blame the injuries. And then they're here. They're like, oh, we got to win a couple more games and we'll make it in. And then they're back up. We're out of the playoffs. And then it's going to go back to this is our year. So.
Well, he asked about fantasy performers, though. Who has the better fantasy performers this year on which team?
Between that game or for the whole year?
For the whole year, I think. Right? Eagles definitely have higher end, more higher end guys, right? Jalen Hurts is, I think, is going to outscore Dak Prescott. Barkley's obviously an outscorer.
You can add up all the Cowboys.
Yeah, outscore all of them, right? Miles Sanders is banged up. Phil Maffa, I don't know if he made the roster, but he looks like pretty decent. Yeah, Johnson Williams, RB1.
Oh boy.
But I definitely think I don't know. I just feel like the Slim Reaper is going to come out week 1 and just slaughter the Cowboys. I don't know, Mike, if you different, but I don't know. I feel like this is a Devonta Smith game here.
Yeah, it really depends. Was Deron Bland practice? I think he did. I think he's back to practice. That's their other cornerback. I think Devontae, by the way, is a really good dynasty buy in general. 14 to 15 points per game for the past 3 years, and he still missed a few weeks last year. So I think he's a nice buy for your wide receiver 2 / wide receiver 3, but you're getting a wide receiver 2 at your wide receiver 3 section. So I'm great with that. To be honest with you, I think the sneakiest fantasy option for that game, and it's not really sneaky, I think the ceiling for George Pickens could be really good in that football game because one, I don't think the Cowboys have a running game, so they're going to have to throw the ball. 2, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys defense could stop the Eagles offense, so they're going to have to throw the ball even more. And 3, I don't know. I mean, obviously here I'm in Philadelphia and paying a lot of attention to what's happening. The Eagles cornerback 2 situation is rough right now. Cooper DeJean is great, but they're lining him up at slot corner, nickel safety.
Nickel.
Yeah, so he's not really getting that outside corner. They brought in Keely Ringo was a draft pick from a few years ago, and I forget the guy off the top of my head who they traded for just a few weeks ago. And there's nobody really that is stepping up. So George Pickens could end up having a field day against the CB2 because Quinyon Mitchell and CeeDee Lamb is going to be must-see TV.
Well, the thing, right? I mean, CeeDee Lamb, he's a guy that's going to, I feel like, going to move around, especially with George Pickens there. I think that's what's going to help CeeDee Lamb out the most because he's going to play whatever matchup best suits him. I think that's what they're going to do. And if Quinyon locks up George Pickens, but either way, I mean, there's going to be times where George Pickens can get the worst corner, which probably is a cornerback 2 on most teams, Mike. So I don't know why you should be that worried because you guys' defense is always so good. But I don't
know. They are kind of grasping at straws for cornerback 2, to be honest with you. It's not been pretty from the things that I've heard. Teixeira clarified his question, by the way.
Yeah, and Mike said Pickens. And, you have an inside track on this, Mike, so we're glad to share because, look, start-sit situations, DFS, that's all coming part of the table. As everyone knows, Start 'em, Sit 'em Saturday will be coming back to the Dynasty DNA Network. And Slim will be doing the DFS end of things this year. I always say I trust him with my left kidney. Him and Wiz. Wiz has a good pulse on DFS, too. I don't get it much.
I can't bet my kidney because I only have one.
You can bet it, Mike. That's just
no, that I'm dead.
More, though. Well, that's gonna be just don't lose.
Good point.
If Mike's doing the kidney bet, that means it's the lock of the century.
Yeah. I'm about to do that Roman Wilson, Travis Hunter bet for my fucking only kidney.
No, I want both my kidneys. I like them both.
Sure.
I'd like it. Be like Cartman on South Park. No, I'm not giving you one. All right, we're going to go into the next wide receiver here.
Wait, I still got my segment. We haven't gone over.
Sorry, go ahead.
But no, Mike, so since you're wearing the Broncos shirt, I feel like it's appropriate to touch on the Broncos backfield here. And, a guy that I liked a lot 2 years ago in the draft class, Audric Estime. TJ, if you got the little sad music, you can cue it up now, but he got cut today.
Future Cowboys running back, Audric Estime.
I like that. I like the sound. That's Blake. And also, everyone's deep dart throw sleeper last year, Blake Watson got cut.
Mm-hmm.
So now the depth chart is J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, Tyler Batty, and then Jaleel McLaughlin. Tyler Batty made it above Jaleel McLaughlin in the depth chart as of right now, right? But what is your outlook, Mike? I know you're a big R.J. Harvey believer there. Are you worried about the depth chart ranking right now? What about J.K. Dobbins? Are you a little more? Because at the beginning, right, you're like, oh, I'm not worried about J.K. Dobbins. He's just going to be whatever. Are you a little more concerned now?
Worried. No.
Oh,
because this is kind of what I think we all kind of imagined that J.K. Dobbins would be listed first on the depth chart, right? I'm not worried about it from a fantasy aspect because the first few weeks are just going to be the first few weeks, and then R.J. Harvey's taking that job. Can't even depend on J.K. Dobbins to stay healthy, right?
Hey. Be nice.
He's never been healthy in his career,
hey,
right? That dude is one bad step away from being the SpongeBob character that came out of the house to buy chocolate that he's, every day I break my arms. It's just crazy. Like I think RJ Harvey will be the RB1 sooner rather than later on that depth chart. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to have a role. Don't get me wrong. I think they are going to use 2 running backs, but I think they're going to have a hard time keeping RJ Harvey off the field because of the explosive plays that he can make.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to agree with you. And look, it's still a young player. You got to earn your stripes, and they're going to let the veteran have this opportunity first.
Speaking of the Denver Broncos, the jersey's behind me. I should go grab it. The route participation between Marvin Mims and Cortland Sutton, those have been the 2 guys that have been out there for most of their routes run. So
We're going to have to get Ty on here, see what he has to say about this, Mike. We're going to have to see what he says about Marvin Mims being that wide receiver.
When Marvin Mims is 36, he'll care about Marvin.
Hey, the cutoff for wide receivers is 31, Mike. We all know that. All right.
Well, let's get back into some rookie receivers. And, this is a guy that we all like. We all like through the draft process, like the landing spot. But we said, look, it might take a little bit. But this guy has skills. And to be honest, I think he could get on the field and play even a little bit more of a role than what we were thinking early on, potentially. It's Emeka Egbuka here at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me say this. I watched the Steelers-Buccaneers preseason game. I liked what I seen out of Emeka Egbuka, right? I mean, I know it's preseason. I don't like to get too far ahead of myself. But come right in, made an impact in that game. I liked what I saw. And, we look at this team, Chris Godwin coming back from this major ACL tear. And I give credit to people like Mike and Bob and Wiz, that we're talking about this, that we're saying, look, maybe these guys are going to have more of an impact than you think earlier on. And I know a lot of people wrote Jalen McMillan off for dead. I don't think so. I still think, look, Mike Evans is the best receiver on this team until proven otherwise. It's Mike Evans. You got to give him that respect. I know he's older, but he's still the guy until proven otherwise. And he's still a favorite target of Baker Mayfield. We know Baker loves to pepper Mike Evans, especially in the red zone, downfield situations. But there is a clear opening to me for this wide receiver 2 job. I don't think, with Godwin's injury, we're going to see too much out of him this year. It takes a little bit of time to come back from an ACL injury.
So TJ, correction, was not an ACL, right? It was a dislocated ankle, fractured fibula, and then a torn
a whole lot.
So even worse, right? Even worse.
Well, I just want to make sure it was, we got corrected, not an ACL.
But I don't know if you saw, he was activated from the pup today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He is. But my thing
is breaking news 30 minutes ago.
I'm not falling into that trap, right? Like, I think that he'll still be a good, solid contributor, maybe down the road. Like, maybe.
Thank you. There it is.
Yeah. Like, I'm just saying, like, early on, there's an opportunity here for McMillan, for Egbuka to make more of an impact than what we were thinking. I think
McMillan's out for a while.
What's that?
Yeah, he's on IR
for a while.
Oh, yeah, with the injury. Yeah. But I mean, like, there's an opportunity for some of these young guys to take a step here, right? I mean, like, I don't think that Godwin's going to come in and just rule the number 2 spot right away. So I think that we could see a little bit more for Godwin down the stretch, but I think that there's a chance for Egbuka to really make some noise. And when McMillan gets back, I think there's a chance for him to maybe make a little bit more noise too. And, we've seen people just trading him away for nothing. I think that was a mistake. How do you think Egbuka is going to do here in his rookie year, Mike? Do you think it's going to be a little bit better than some anticipate, just because everyone thought, look, this is a loaded wide receiver room. It's going to be tough. And I think to agree it could be, but I think there could be times this year he could really flash. What do you think?
I picked up the microphone and I was waiting. Buy Chris Godwin now, by the way. Get him for a 2nd-round pick. Stash him on your injury spots because he's not going to play the first few weeks. And then, like TJ said, that during the playoff stretch or the end of the season stretch, when you need a guy to be a wide receiver too, I think Chris Godwin could be that guy. So it's great to get him now. Yeah. I don't think his price is going to skyrocket by any stretch of the imagination, but getting him for like that mid-second is a perfect move for a contender where you don't really need him right away. But I had to pick up the microphone for that one because I want to make sure people understand the perfect time to strike on him is now and just stash him. Now, for Emeka Egbuka, I think he's primed to also have a nice season. And I still think, even when Godwin comes back, I think the 3 of those players can kind of coexist because Baker Mayfield is just a good quarterback, right? A guy who will throw the ball 40 some odd times a game, and they still will rush. So I'm very excited for this entire offense right now.
Yeah, I am too. And let me just say, though, like, if it doesn't really come out as a heater, and, I've said it all along, like, if people are down on Emeka Egbuka, I'm buying him because he's a good receiver. There's no doubt in my mind that this guy can play in this league at a higher level. Like, I don't think he'll ever be a dominant guy. Like, I don't think he'll ever be even a JSN. Do I think he could be, though, that good back end to high end wide receiver 2 consistently? Absolutely. I think he could hit those ceilings. It just might take a little bit of time. We'll see how it shakes out, but I really like Emeka Egbuka. I think
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's basically his replacement right there. I mean, it really is. I don't know if he could ever hit quite what Godwin did, but he has the potential. My thing is, he's always kind of taken the back seat at Ohio State. I think this could be even a personality thing with him. Like, as far as like, do you want to assert more dominance? Because I think he could maybe even tap into a little bit more in his game, but will he really want to step out and do that? Like, I mean, some players are wired differently, right? Like, some people, we talk about Trevor Lawrence being like the cool surfer dude, like, oh, it's cool, man. Like, no, it ain't cool. You're throwing
Yo,
it
bunga.
like, it ain't cool. It ain't cool at all. But I think Emeka Egbuka is a guy that has potential. Wiz, what do you think? And what do you think about his rookie season here?
Yeah, I think Mike touched on the head really well there when he was saying that Baker Mayfield throws the ball a lot. And even when Chris Godwin was out there, right, you had Jalen McMillan catching passes. You had Sterling Shepard, I think, was out there at one point catching passes.
Cade Otton.
Yeah, Cade Otton, which, man, if the Bucs had a better tight end, like, I don't know if Bears are trying to move Cole Kmet at all, but that would be a really good place for Cole Kmet. But anyways, back on topic. Even when Chris Godwin comes back, I think Emeka Egbuka is he's going to do well. His ceiling's going to be definitely capped, but it's not going to be to the point that you can be like, oh, I have to go start this guy and hopefully he gets 5 points over Emeka Egbuka. I think he still could be a steady Eddie guy that's going to produce like 10, 11 points on your roster when Chris Godwin comes back with the touchdown upside to push him to 17, 18, right? And going back to your point, TJ, right, I don't think it's a work ethic issue about him, or I don't know, like the way you were explaining it with Emeka Egbuka about not having that drive or ambition to become a dominator or anything like that. It kind of makes me think of a work ethic issue, which I don't think it's a work ethic issue. It's just that if you look at all the talent that he's played around in Ohio State, at Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Smith, like these guys are generational prospects, and no matter how much you work towards something, you're not gonna beat out a guy that's just naturally gifted, has the same work ethic or better than you do, right? And we've seen the same thing with Jackson Smith and Jigma, right? I think it's a good comparison. Oh, sorry, Mike, I keep stealing all your points. But he was also the fiddle too in Ohio State for the longest time, and now he looks like he's gonna be the dominator in Seattle once he got the opportunity, right? I mean, Cooper Kupp's there, but I think Jack Smith and Jigma is an excellent guy as a guy, but targeting him redraft leagues. But all in all, I'm just really excited to see how this Bucs team plays out on offense. Baker Mayfield, it's hard to root against the Bucs, right? They have so many great players on there, and Baker Mayfield's comeback story of all that adversity that he's faced in his career,
and then the Bucky Irving adversity through the Dynasty DNA network.
Listen, Rashad White's still on the roster, Mike. He could take it back.
That's right. I'm just kidding. That's all right. But now let me just say this, like, and I agree with you, Wiz. Like, the talent is a thing, right? But like, what I'm saying is, people don't mind sometimes, their personality don't mind even taking a back seat. It just depends on how he's wired. Look, we never talked to Emeka Egbuka. Like, we don't know exactly what his feelings are. Like, and right now he's kind of in that situation again. What I'm saying is, can you do something here in the next year or two to say, no, I'm the alpha now, right? Like, you got to show it. Like you said, JSN kind of showed it, right? Like, he showed it last year.
Well,
like,
he also had the opportunity, right?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, though. But he still had DK Metcalf on that team. I'm saying, like, you got to be able to say, go for the throat if you're Emeka Egbuka and say, no, I'm now taking this spot from Mike Evans. Now I'm going to take this spot from Chris Godwin. Like,
I'm Dirty Dan.
I'm Dirty Dan. I'm Dirty Dan. No, I'm Dirty Dan. No, but honestly, no, that's what he's got to do. And I think if he wants to do it, he can do it. He's got the talent. He is immensely talented. But I just think he's going to be more of a wide receiver too, because you even said it yourself. He didn't start over JSN. He didn't start over people like Garrett Wilson. Like, he didn't play over these guys, Marvin Harrison. There's a reason for that, right? Like, he could just be a better yin to a yang instead of just a true dominator. And I like him. If I could trade for him, I'm trading for him all day long, because I think he's the kind of guy, Mike brought up Chris Godwin. There's a reason why they liked him. It's like a Chris Godwin replacement. That's, in my eyes, I think he nailed that. So, but let's go over here now to these other receivers. And I'm just going to group these guys all together because I'm just kind of interested to see. I'm going to make you pick one out of the three right now, and I want to see where you're at. Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris. I'm going to start with you right now because this is like the age-old debate between this group. Is who do you like the most out of this group? Who do you think has the best rookie season and why?
Oh shit, this is a tough one. I'm gonna kind of steal what Mike began a little bit when we talked about Matthew Golden, but before preseason, I would probably say Jaden Higgins. But after preseason, I think I'm gonna give the slight edge to Matthew Golden. Right, I think he just has a better opportunity to achieve a higher, just score more points this year in fantasy with Green Bay. Offensive line's better, and just the wide receivers around, right? Jaden Reed's about the only one he needs to compete with, right? Dontavian Brick Hands is just not that guy. Tucker Kraft is gonna get his, right? But other than that, I mean, what else?
Did Romeo
Savion
Dobbs
Williams.
die?
Romeo Dobbs is still there, I guess. But like for me, right? I just they play differently, so I'm not seeing like the guy that's gonna be there, right? Chris Watson is a guy that has paper for hamstrings that just could never get it right. Hopefully, you get it right at some point in his career and have a Keenan Allen bounce back, but that's highly unlikely, right? And for me, like I'm just gonna go Matthew Golden. I think the deep field strategy in there. We see Jordan Love. He has a nice deep ball, and if he has a guy back there that can catch it, Matthew Golden. I think it's gonna be a match made in heaven for him. My number 2 guy is gonna be Jaden Higgins, and it's gonna push down Trey Harris just because Keenan Allen's back there, right? He's gonna get his. There's already been good reports coming out about him in practice that he looks like he picked up where he left off. So that's good to see from a 34-year-old wide receiver. I don't know.
Let me say this, okay? You took Golden this season, and look, you can make a case. You definitely can make a case for either of these guys or maybe all three of these guys, depending on how you look at it. But who do you like from a dynasty perspective long-term, Wiz?
Jaden Higgins to me still has the biggest ceiling out of the 3. Right. I comped Matthew Golden to Hollywood Brown, which I know a lot of people probably now have that ick in Hollywood Brown's name, but we have to remember he was a really good wide receiver for 4 or 5 years of his career until he tears ACL in Arizona. What took him out for that long ass stretch?
Yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, and he just never came back from the ACL. Came back to where he was, right? So for me, I'm just gonna go with Jaden Higgins for best long term because he has the highest ceiling by far. I think out of the 3 players.
Okay, so let me just say this. I'm gonna let Mike chime in. I agree. I think that it's gonna be close between Golden and Higgins this year. I will give the edge to Golden just based off of targets. Like you said, I think that there's a lot of target vacancy there in Green Bay. But the thing is, you got to be careful. You can't get sucked in. Like, I'm not saying Matthew Golden's going to have a high-end wide receiver 2 season. Like, I think if he had a season where he's 22 to 26 in this Green Bay offense, that's even a success to me, right? Because I just know how it is. And if you have that in your flex, if you have that in your wide receiver 3 spot, I think that that's pretty good. But I like Jaden Higgins long-term too. I agree with a lot of what you said, Wiz. Just based off a ceiling, I see a guy, and I like Matthew Golden. I mean, I think I had him rated number 2 just from the film in the pre-draft process. But I see a guy that could play the slot, could play the outside, that's big, that can run routes. In an offense here with the Texans that, look, it's down a little bit right now, but I think they'll have a bounce back. C.J. Stroud's more of that Joe Burrow-ish type pocket passer more than he is a runner. He's going to look to throw. And I've said it, Nico Collins with the injuries, I think Nico's still a solid guy, but I would not be shocked, and you can put this on record long-term, if Jaden Higgins is the better player than Nico Collins. I just believe in the talent that much. I know you said
that too.
Yeah. And when you said that, I laughed because I'm like, I thought the same thing. When we all do this all the time, some of these things pop into your head. And we were kind of like telepathically connected there, me and Mitch on that. So I definitely agree.
To hear that.
yeah. It's like telepathically connected.
Yeah, when you watch prospects, right, you see the good and you also see all the bad things from them, and then you see the traits that they possess sometimes. But if they get it all the time, that's where you're like, this is the ceiling, right? And you see that a lot in Jaden Higgins, at least, in the film process. But yeah.
It pops for sure. Mike, same question to you, Mike. If you had to say who's going to have the best year out of the 3, I think you're going to still lean Golden just based off some of the stuff we talked about earlier. But who do you like long-term? Because I know you're a Trey Harris fan as well. I think he's a solid player. I think he's getting a lot of disrespect right now. I'm not knocking Trey Harris, but who do you like long term out of this group?
I'm still going to go with Trey Harris, right? I still think Trey could be the guy long term, a boundary guy who can win in the middle of the field as well, who also could win in the red zone. Yeah, I mean, him and Jaden Higgins are not really far off. Just, Higgins or Trey's a little shorter than Higgins. Let's be honest. That's about really it. When it comes to these three, I think we're discounting the fact or understating. How do I say this? We're not bringing up the fact that Christian Kirk is still there in Houston.
Right.
Christian Kirk, when healthy, is a very reliable target, a very good slot wide receiver. And then you got an alpha who, if and when healthy, again, you can kind of copy and paste what I just said, in Nico Collins. I think we're putting the cart before the horse with Higgins just slightly for this year, right? I like the player as well. I really think Christian Kirk is a very sneaky player this year, to be honest with you. If healthy. And then with Golden and Harris, it gets really tough because I had these guys at my tier in a tier together as my wide receiver 4/wide receiver 5 in the draft process. And then I flipped Harris ahead of Golden, even though the draft capital for Golden was there. I kind of thought Golden was a little overdrafted, if that makes sense. Going in the first round, I could have seen maybe early second, kind of like where Higgins went, where Harris went, like where all those guys went. And I didn't love the landing spot with Green Bay because there are a lot of mouths to feed there, whether we think they're upper echelon mouths to feed. I don't think Golden's an alpha wide receiver either, right? So it's just a lot of wide receiver 2s in an offense. So I don't really feel great about that still, but I have liked what I've seen from Matthew Golden. So don't discount that. I've really liked what I've seen. So I could end up being wrong. He could end up being the alpha in that offense. But I'm going to stick to my priors. I'm going to stick to my training on this one. I'm going to go with Trey Harris. I think, we got to depend on Keenan Allen being healthy. And Keenan Allen's going to be a thorn in his side because he has that camaraderie with Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey, but also back to Keenan Allen. He's going to be primarily the slot, I would imagine, right? Ladd McConkey, going to be a target earner, going to get a high volume amount of targets. And then Trey Harris is going to be the big play guy, the red zone guy, going to get probably a decent amount of touchdowns. My hot take for this year was Trey was going to lead the rookies in touchdowns this season. I could still see that happening. That's going to open things up for him. I think Trey could sneakily still be that guy out of these three.
Yeah, and look, like I said, I'm not knocking Trey Harris. I think like the way I am looking at it is Jaden Higgins has the highest ceiling, as Wiz said. Like we're kind of on par with that, me and Wiz are. But Trey Harris, and I said this, Mike. I said this during the whole draft process. I think there might have been better value in the second round for wide receivers this year in rookie drafts than maybe in the first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just because I think all these guys could be wide receiver 2-ish type guys. Like I think they could do it. And if they do it, that's really good value for what you're getting for a second round pick comparative. Like when you did maybe gamble on a Tet and it don't work out, maybe a gamble on a Travis Hunter and it didn't work out. You could have maybe collected picks, moved back, picked one of these guys. Then you go, okay, yeah, I don't have a dominator, but I got a guy I can have on my roster. It's going to be reliable for the next 7 to 10 years. Like it's possible. These guys all have the potential to do that. So when you said wide receiver 2-ish, in their offense, like that's exactly even how I see them from a fantasy standpoint, maybe. Like if they even get there, and I think they could. I like all these players. But let's get into the tight ends here real quick. We're just going to start out. Tyler Warren right now. I love it. Ty flip-flopped on from Whistle to Whistle show, and I gave him so much crap about it. I loved every second of it because, now that Anthony Richardson's not the starter, it's Daniel Jones. Mike, I'll start with you. Are you looking at this offense any differently? Do you think Tyler Warren could maybe produce a little bit more now just based off the fact that, maybe he can get him the football a little bit better than what Richardson could from a throwing standpoint?
No. I don't think this offense is really that much better, to be honest with you, with Daniel Jones. I think it's, if any better, is just like a 2% upgrade, I guess, right? But that Peter Griffin thing where it's like a box is or a boat is a boat, but a box could be anything. It could even be a boat. Like Daniel Jones is the same fucking thing. He's not a good quarterback. He sucks. And I really don't think this offense looks any better with Daniel Jones than it does with Anthony Richardson. Honestly, if I'm the Colts, I'm trotting Anthony Richardson out there. I'm either letting him show that he has it, or if he doesn't have it, if he flames out, he's gone next year. If he gets injured again, he's gone next year. It is what it is. I wash my hands with it but he's a top 4 pick. I need to see something. Tyler Warren, though, out of this, tight end class has been my tight end one. I think in this offense, he fits this offense really well. I actually think he really damages Josh Downs' fantasy output just because they play a very similar type role in that short intermediate yards after catch type. Obviously, one plays wide receiver, one plays tight end, but Tyler Warren can line up in the slot. He can line up in line, and then that still eats into Josh Downs. I think Tyler Warren is in for a decent season this year. Could see tight end 8, tight end 7 this year for him. I think that's a very safe spot because I do think he's going to earn a lot of targets.
Right. And I'm with you 100%, Mike. And I think you nailed it as far as Downs. I think this really hurts him. Really, any of these secondary target earners with the Colts, I mean, I think it can kind of hurt. I think Michael Pittman will be okay. It's just, can they get him the ball enough? I mean, it seems like no matter what they've done, anyone that's playing quarterback has trouble to getting the ball to the guys on the outside. I do agree with you as far as I don't think this helps the Colts NFL chances any at all. Do I think it helps as far as getting a little bit more fantasy production? A little bit. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be great, but I do think that there's going to be more opportunities for some of these guys. Daniel Jones can at least check it down. I mean, look, Anthony Richardson, we were all hoping that the ceiling would come through. And I agree with you, Mike. I think at some point they should have had to play him. I don't know. But, I mean, they're obviously worried about their jobs. That protection thing, is he really not being able to pick up protections? Is he able to not really understand the offense to a high level? That's what we keep hearing. So if that's the case, I'm just hopeful that Daniel Jones can do a little bit more from a fantasy standpoint. As far as producing wings for the Colts, this ain't going to do really nothing for the Colts. I agree with you 110%. It's just, I think what we're going to see is, unfortunately, Shane Steichen and the GM probably lose their job at the end of the year because they don't have a viable option right now. But I love what you said about tight end 7 or tight end 8. I think he can get there just based off of these little dump downs. We know he plays that jokerish type role. We've seen him do it in Penn State. You could put him in the backfield. You could put him on line. You could put him in the slot. I think that'll benefit Tyler Warren. But Wiz, Tyler Warren, how do you see it shaking out? And do you think that the Daniel Jones switch will help him any as far as fantasy production this year?
I mean, realistically, I don't think it could hurt, really.
That's probably that's probably the best way to put it, to be honest with you.
I don't think it helps him. It can't really hurt him at all. You know what I mean?
So, Wiz, if we were on the show right now, on the whistle, I give you a point because that was probably the best way to put that. Me and Mike were trying to explain it. Wiz is like, well, it probably won't hurt. Yeah, that's probably the best way to explain it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's real generic, but it's tough, right? Colts are just not really attractive pieces other than, Jonathan Taylor, I guess, for this year. I did draft Michael Pittman kind of late in my redraft, and then I made a bet. My buddy, he drafted Josh Downs 1 pick afterwards, and I said Michael Pittman will outscore Josh Downs, that Josh Downs will not touch Michael Pittman's jockstrap unless he's cleaning it when he's on IR. So we have a $20 bet on that one right now. We'll see how it goes, but Daniel Jones has helped some wide receivers with get some top 10 finish in weeks. Like Darius Slayton is probably one of the better examples, right? 2019, he gave Slayton 2 wide receiver 10 for the weeks, and he also in that same year Sterling Shepard. And this is also his best year that he played football, and that earned him that big contract that they overpaid. And they're like, "Oh, we're going to choose Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley." Idiots. But I don't know. It's tough to say what Tyler Warren's going to be able to do. Right? I mean, tight end position. If he's be more of a gadgety kind of guy where he's going to be able to earn touches or earn takes of the ball from different ways, other than just relying on Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones throwing the football, then I think his outlook's a lot better. However, if they're going to keep him in that traditional tight end role, which why the fuck would you do that if you draft him so high? You have no plan to use him the way that you just got to get your playmakers the football in any way possible. And I think Tyler Warren's is a playmaker in the football. He could do a lot of things with the football in his hands. So just being creative and giving him the ball in there. And I think Shane Steichen, hopefully, I'm going to give him a little confidence here. He's going to be able to do that. And I think top 7 is a realistic. However, I think I play it safe. I'd say top 12, I think would be a win this year. If he finishes as tight end 12, I think that's a win for Tyler Warren.
Yeah, and you know what, Wiz? I was actually just thinking to end the segment saying that. Like, if it ends up as a tight end 1, any shape, form, or fashion for Tyler Warren, you have him. Look at it as a win. Look, I know everyone wants, them high-end points when you draft one of these guys, but, I mean, that's a win for a Tyler Warren. I think sometimes we have too high expectations for some of these tight ends early. This is one of the toughest positions to play on the offense. Outside of quarterback, some people say it's the second hardest, because you have to know pass routes. You have to know pass protections, right? You have to know a little bit of everything. So if it is a top 12 finish, I think that you could be really happy with that. I agree. As far
One
as
last thing on the Colts real quick.
Yeah.
I said this on the podcast, the Dynasty Dogs podcast. Josh Downs is just Green Arrow's Wan'Dale Robinson. Like, they're the same player. And everybody hypes up Josh Downs to be this, big target earner, but he always ends up getting hurt. Wan'Dale Robinson's the same thing, and you're getting him for a round cheaper. They finished 9 spots away from each other in fantasy output last year, and it's fucking crazy the amount of hype he gets.
So you're saying trade Josh Downs for Wan'Dale Robinson plus?
Yeah, fuck it.
I love that. I love that.
Fuck
Yeah.
I might try that later. I think I have like 2 Josh Downs shares. I'll have to see. Maybe I'll trade.
You got to check your guy. If you can't find him on your bench, make sure you check the IR slot.
Yeah, where he's at. It is a shame, but let's hop over to the Bears Glazer, because here we go. Colston Loveland, the Chicago Bears. This is going to be interesting to see how this offense plays out. We talk about it a lot. It's definitely something that every podcast, fantasy football related, you got to talk about a little bit about the Bears offense. There's a lot of big things happening, a lot of high hopes. A lot of people like to share who's sitting there trying to douse his whiz fire with his water of doubt as far as Chicago's offense goes. But
water in a grease fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a grease fire here. You got to smother that.
Yeah, that's right. But here we go, Wiz. Colston Loveland. Now, we know Cole Kmet's still there. We know that the plethora of other targets is still there. How do you feel it shakes out for Colston Loveland in year 1? Do you think it's going to be a little bit rocky? Do you think he maybe really impresses? Where do you see it?
Yeah, so the biggest worrisome, right, is Cole Kmet, right? And I know a lot of people don't like Cole Kmet, right? They say he's a mediocre tight end. He's not good, whatever. But I think he's a really good NFL tight end, right? He could do everything on the field, and he's proficient at doing it, right? He's a good block. He's a good receiver. And he's a smart player. He can get open in the thing. That's why it was a little puzzling that Bears drafted Colston Loveland, and kind of going through it. We talked about before, TJ. This is the Kyle Pitts, Dalton Kincaid athletic tight ends that we keep.
God damn it, Wiz, shut the hell up. You're taking it.
And we keep saying that, we're not going to buy into it. We're not going to buy into it. And then it comes around and I'm buying right back into it. I keep getting trapped by the mousetraps there. All you have to do is just put a nice athletic tight end, and I'll just walk up on there and I'll get stuck by the glue and just stuck there for the rest of my life till I die. But, just overall, I mean, he's performed really well in preseason, right? I mean, it's small sample size, especially against the Bills, right? And the Bears did run out in a lot of 12 personnel, right? 12 personnel is the 2 tight end sets. Yeah, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'll make sure I'm not being retarded right now.
Yeah. 12 personnel. Tight ends.
Yeah, and and I think that's kind of what they want to get going. I think that helps set up the run game. I hope makes a lot of things easier. Play action. Ben Johnson's a big play action kind of guy. And I don't know. To me, I think Colston Loveland's going to do really well this year. He's a guy that I believe in tremendously. I've been drafting him a lot in a lot of places. I think he's probably creeping up to one of my most rostered tight end shares, which it's hard to do because I have a lot of Dalton Kincaid in the graveyard somewhere I could dig up and have. But I don't know. I really like Colston Loveland. I think he's done a lot. And there are many camp reports. If you look up anything, you can't find anything negative about the guy. Everyone loves him, the coach staff. When he was hurt, he knew the playbook when he came back into minicamp. He knew everything, all of his plays and stuff like that. Unlike Luther Burden, a little shot fired at Mike there for that one. But
Wait, what? Hold on. Go ahead.
that's why Luther Burden got pulled out. He got yelled at by Ben Johnson. He
Yeah,
sat
and
out
he's
for
been
us.
exceeding
And
everything since then.
after that, but Colson Loveland, he didn't get yelled at by Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson gave him a little smack on the booty and said, "Good job, buddy."
Yeah, he was hurt too.
Yeah, but he knew the playbook. He cares about his thing. He's a
Oh.
high football IQ kind of guy. And I don't know. To me, I don't know, Mike. And listen, I've been listening a little bit back and forth on the Bears, beat reporters, and a lot of them are talking about Luther Burden, that like the biggest things that they noticed on tape for Luther Burden was that he took a lot of plays off in college at Mizzou. Didn't really care about blocking or anything like that. But on the plus side, they're like, we've seen him block down the field in preseason games. He's doing all the things he's supposed to be doing, even when the ball's not going towards him. So he has a little attitude shift there, Mike. So it wasn't all negative about Luther Burden. All right, calm down. But I don't know. Just overall, I'm really excited about Colson Love. I think the Bears offense this year is going to do tremendous. And the 2 tight end the 12 personnel sets is going to help DeAndre Swift in the run game, even if it's going to be Kyle Monunga or Roshan Johnson, whoever's going to get the carries. I think overall it's just going to be a really good offense this year.
Okay, so you predicting tight end 1 finish, yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, we should have knew he's going to do some glazing.
Yeah, I think realistic is a tight end 9 is if I had to put my thumb on it. I think he's going to finish ahead of Tyler Warren. He's going to outscore Tyler Warren. I think he's going to be the highest scoring tight end in the class this year. And that's going to be, I mean, we'll touch on the next guy. I'm pretty sure that we all kind of like, we all like him. So, but I think he'll be the highest scoring tight end this year out of this draft class.
So Wiz really getting down to his home roots there with the Bears, doing some serious glazing. Look, Wiz, you talked about it. You said about Dalton Kincaid, you fell back into the trap, and here we go again. You just go right back in for these athletic guys. You could like Jonnu Smith that you could have got for a pair of socks.
I have a lot of Jonnu Smith, but he's also on the Steelers, and
you love it. You love it now.
It's no, I have to have some disdain for him. Like I already have a bunch of Roman Wilson shares. I can't keep piling on the Steelers. I gotta keep some of that shit on my yard,
Yeah, it would be wise. It'd be wise. I mean, you want to take your shots here and there, but you can't overdo it with the Steelers for sure. But let me just say this, Wiz. I just don't think, it's going to be tough with all the targets there in town, first and foremost. And you did mention about running the football. I do think that they want to do that. And I do think that the 12 personnel will be a factor as far as, yes, Loveland will be on the field more, but we know that he wasn't an extraordinary blocker either, right? I mean, so are they going to really rely on him as much as you think in certain situations like that? So I don't know. Like, I think that I'm like you, until they clear this up with Cole Kmet, until they decide exactly what's going to happen there, until we see how the other receivers shake out, I still think this offense is going to have to take some time to find itself in general. I think Colson Loveland right now, I'm going to put more at probably tight end 14 to 16 at best. I think he gets there, but I think he just gets there. And I think that it's going to be Tyler Warren is the best tight end this year. Maybe down the road, someone could maybe dethrone him, but I think he's got that wrapped up this year. Mike Colston Loveland, I'll let you finish up. Any difference in thought as far as I go, as far as Wiz goes? Who are you agreeing with here? How do you think he does his rookie season?
Yeah, I lean more towards your side, TJ. I think Tyler Warren is the best tight end in this class. He will be the top tight end scorer, I would imagine, of this class and probably going forward. Maybe not every year, but he's going to be the highest ranked, if that makes sense for dynasty purposes, going year in and year out. By the way, there's been a lot of tomfoolery said on this podcast recently. Rome Odunze is the Bears wide receiver 1. Let's just get that straight. I just want to let that out there. But with Colston Loveland, this archetype can be a little rough, and we kind of beat that to a dead horse. We're talking about an archetype like Kyle Pitts, his rookie season, 1,000 yards, but he still was only, I believe it was wide receiver 11 or 12 points per game that year. So I could see, Colston Loveland finishing in that 12 to 14 range, a back end 1, a high end 2. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. You guys have kind of all said everything. I've just been lower on Colson Loveland. Yeah, he was my tight end 2 of this class, but he was like, if I wanted a wide or tight end like that, I was going to take Elijah Arroyo later on.
Yep, and that's a great point. And I agree with you. That was my thinking too. Like you could get guys like that cheaper later, kind of like how I said about the receivers earlier. This draft was a weird draft the way that looked. I mean, 2024 was real top heavy, 2025 not so much, and then you just got to pick through the weeds and find the value. But let's just talk about 3 tight ends to finish it off right now. Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor, and of course Terrence Ferguson there with the Rams. How do you feel about
throw
it?
Harold Fannin in there?
Well, I mean, I was saving him for the very, very.
Oh yeah,
I was saving him for the very. You ruined it, Mike. I was saving him. I was saving.
All right, cool. Because I thought you were grouping them all together because that was the end. That's usually what your plan of attack.
Well, no, I was saving this one for last. But those 3 guys, how do you feel about those 3 guys? I mean, how does it shake out for you? Who's your favorite from a dynasty perspective long term? And who do you think has the best season this year between the 3 of them?
Is Terrence Ferguson hurt? Because I have not heard a single thing about him this offseason. Which is like, if he's hurt, then it's not as alarming, right? I think there's been a lot of positive buzz about Elijah Arroyo, and I think we've all been pretty high on him as a player, especially for the price range you're getting him from in the 3rd round. I'm even trading 26 seconds for him in tight end premium leagues because I believe in the talent. I believe that we're kicking the can down the road. I think he's probably better than all the tight ends that are coming out next year. So if I need a tight end, I'm gambling on Elijah Arroyo. I think he could be the best out of this group. There's been a lot of positive buzz about Mason Taylor. He is just kind of coming back from injury as well. But I watched some of the Elijah Arroyo tape. There were some blocking situation issues, but then he's had some really good highlights there as well. Going up against Lucas Van Ness, the defensive lineman from the Green Bay Packers, won that. So I've seen some good, I've seen some bad, but then he just moves different than the 3 of these guys that we mentioned. He's pretty much a wide receiver playing tight end. Again, he's a Colson Loveland archetype, but you're getting him a lot cheaper. This is a guy I believe in if he's healthy.
Yeah, me too. And, honestly, I think I agree with you. Definitely long-term Arroyo. I've been preaching about that. And, they felt comfortable enough to cut Noah Fant right away. I mean, look, I know it's Noah Fant, but it is a veteran guy. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about A.J. Barner. Like, yes, A.J. Barner is going to have more of the role early on. He's the veteran.
He's the blocker.
Yeah, he's the blocker. They want to run the football. So it just makes sense. I do think Arroyo takes over, and I like what you said about kicking the can down the road. I think he's an awesome rebuilder buy, right? Like he's the classic throw him in on a trade. He's the classic, if I couldn't get an extra pick out of somebody, give me him. Give me a young prospect with some upside. I like Elijah Arroyo. As far as this season goes, I think Mason Taylor has the best chance to make the most noise. We know the Jets, wide receiving room is thin just across the board. They've never really had a 2 prominent tight end. Dustin Keller was okay back in the day, but they have
Tyler Conklin.
Yeah, Tyler Conklin. He's been okay, Wiz, but he's never been that tight end.
He hit tight end 1 twice, I think.
In the Jets?
Yeah.
I'm
pretty sure.
I don't know about that. That feels weird.
I had to fact check you, but anyhow, no, I mean, look, it's just one of them things. I think he's going to have the best opportunity to make the noise this year with the lack of receiving targets there with the Jets. I don't think that he's someone that's going to be super sexy long-term from fantasy. I think he's going to be a better NFL guy than a fantasy guy, but again, could be a really valuable player to have on your roster that could put up points, and I like him as well. Ferguson had a groin injury, Mike. He was out a little bit early. He did play in the last preseason game, caught a couple passes, nothing special. But
I was low on him anyway. I was kind of surprised he got the 2nd round.
That high draft capital.
Yeah. And he, to be honest, he performed well at the combine too. And I didn't really see that on tape, like the athletic ability. I didn't see it.
Me either. I was never a fan. But Wiz, let's go into this group. Who has the best season just to start it out here? Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor, or Terrence Ferguson? And who do you think has the best ceiling from a dynasty perspective long term?
Yeah, I love Mike's take about Elijah Arroyo being a really good rebuilder's buy, 26 second. I think that's a really good deal there. Even like maybe moving Evan Ingram for him and get a little added plus on there for rebuilding, or Travis Kelce straight up. I think I'd be fine with that as well. Speaking of which, he got engaged to Taylor Swift. So congrats, Travis Kelce. I know you're a big fan of the podcast. No,
Yeah,
but
tie probably, but go ahead.
you know, but I agree with you, TJ, that I think Mace Taylor is going to be the best scoring out of these guys, just because of the opportunity, right? I mean, the Jets offensive coordinator, I forget his name, but he came from the Lions. I'm
Yeah, he
95%
did.
confident. He's
Yeah,
a
he
passing
did.
game coordinator, I think.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I think with that, right, they like to use the tight ends in their scheming. And Justin Fields is a guy that likes to hyper target the tight ends. You saw that before with Cole Kmet. That's why Cole Kmet had a lot of good seasons for for being a tight end, right? I think his highest was like tight end 6 or 7. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it was right around that range. I don't think he ever cracked top 5. But if you get that kind of volume as a tight end and you're having a guy with Justin Fields that he's looked horrible. But that's besides the point. But I don't know. For me, I think Mace Taylor sticks out the best, and he also has the clearest opportunity for depth charts. I mean, Josh Reynolds is the wide receiver 2 right now on that team. So if he's on your waiver wire, go at him because he might have been on there. You might already got picked up already. But he could be a sneaky guy to add on there. I don't know. It's just I do like Elijah Arroyo, so I pick him over all these guys. But Mace Taylor, I think, is the guy that scores the most this season.
Yeah,
This one season, I think you almost have to go with him for sure. We talk about Terrence Ferguson, as Mike said, wasn't impressed with the tape, didn't love the player. And I mean, to be honest, the Rams really don't ever super utilize the tight end. I think a lot of people were so excited about him going there.
Stafford does, though.
Yeah, I mean, he can at times.
He made Brandon Pettigrew look pretty fucking good.
Yeah, and we saw Tyler Higbee have some good seasons as well, right before he tore his ACL.
It's hard though. It's hard though when you have Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams. Like, we're talking about Terrence Ferguson. We're talking about like not even a spoke in the wheel. He's like the baseball card that you just run down and ruin it, smoking your wheel. But let's go over to the last tight end, saving the best for last. This is a player me and Mike were really preaching on a lot, even before the draft. I think even before the year was over last year. Harold Fannin Jr. with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, you want to talk about a preseason warrior? Look, we loved the film on this guy. I always talk about the Cleveland Cooties. It worries me from a fantasy standpoint, but he has looked good for the Cleveland Browns in this preseason. We talk about a lot about Elijah Arroyo. I think even a sneaky, better price buy in a way will be Harold Fannin. Now, I'm not saying do it right now. Maybe wait till the season starts and the Browns suck and he ain't on the field a bunch, and then you can maybe get him fairly cheap. I mean, we hope that you maybe can sneak in the back door and get him. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But this guy is an athletic freak. Wiz, you love to talk about athletic tight ends. We talked about, would you rather take the chance on Loveland in the first round or gamble on a Fannin or gamble on Elijah Arroyo later? That made a lot of sense to us. But, Mike, I will let you take the floor on Harold Fannin Jr. because this is a guy that we liked. We preached a lot about. Looking good there with the Browns recently. What do you like about Fannin? Do you think he is a good rebuilder buy?
Yeah, from a film aspect, he was my tight end too, and I'm not ashamed to say it. He checks all the boxes for me. We talked about Terrence Ferguson having a really good combine, and Harold Fannin did not have a great combine, and I thought he was more athletic than Terrence Ferguson.
Right.
I had to drop Fannin down in the post-draft ranks. Obviously, third-round capital compared to everybody that went in the second. Got to take some of that into consideration. I didn't drop him that far. Everything you're hearing about Harold Fannin is I've seen things that are putting a lot on his plate and he's excelling at everything, playing fullback, playing in the backfield, lining up at tight end, lining up at slot, blocking. They're asking a lot of him and he's doing everything possible to make himself available for this team. I'm super excited for him. I think he's going to be a very solid tight end for years to come. I do think it could take a year because David Njoku is still there. And you want to talk about a freak of nature. David Njoku came out with his face half melted off and played football. Like, you can't really bet against that guy, right? No. I really like Harold Fannin. Again, if you want to kick the can down the road for him, I'm doing that as well.
Yep. And we talk about getting value players. Like, this is a player we value, right? Like, I think that it could really return a good investment later. It's just waiting to get there. I think it will be worth the wait. I agree with Mike. And Mike, when we watch the film on him, and you can concur on this, a big thing for me is with a lot of pass catchers, can you dominate a game? I've seen Harold Fannin dominate games, and I've seen him dominate games against good competition.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to the Penn State. I remember watching that film. We go back to, I believe it's Texas A&M.
Yep.
Took care of business, man. And I mean, this guy can play, and you can get him cheap enough. Wiz, do you agree? If you're rebuilding, would you mind maybe throwing out an older player to get her Harold Fannin? Maybe if you're looking at a package, he'd be a great throw-in option for you. Where are you at on that?
Yeah, so I agree with all you guys' points, really, TJ, besides one of yours that you said later down the season to buy him. I think it might be best to buy him earlier rather than later.
It just depends. Do you think he's going to get on the field, though? Because like Mike said, Goku, and we got Jerry Jeudy. Like what I'm saying is like, I'm not saying wait to the very end of the season, but like maybe week 6, week 7, if he hasn't produced much, I mean, you could really maybe strike at that point. But I know what you're saying, Wiz. It is worrisome, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Njoku's on his final year of his contract.
Didn't they pay him? No? Am I making that up in my brain?
So 2026 is his last, or it doesn't look like he just has money coming to him in 2026. But 2025, so this year is his last year of his deal. So with that, right, I think when the Browns start out real shitty, because that's what they're going to do, right?
Yeah.
Browns are going to poop. And I think that's a guy that could be a trade candidate. And I think this could be injuries happen all the time in there. Njoku's 29 years old, so he's no spring chicken. And as soon as Njoku gets traded or there's trade rumors going around, Harold Fannin's value is going to shoot up, right? We've seen this happen time and time again, right? And this is a big if, so it's not always the best to gamble on this, right? But if you have to pay in a little bit extra right now, maybe I don't know how much Fannin's going for, maybe like a third, maybe 2/3.
You probably have to do 2/3 because he was a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah. So like I wouldn't mind paying that right now because as soon as those rumors go up, he's gonna be worth a 2nd-round pick. And then if Njoku leaves after the season or if he gets traded mid-season, he's gonna go up more. But Harold Fannin Jr., right? I mean, you talk about athletic tight ends. This guy can block as well. He's almost like carbon copy of Jonnu Smith. I think that's why TJ loves him so much, and he's disappointed that he has to has to be a Brown, but.
Yep, that is the worst part of it, Wiz. But you're right. He kind of does remind me of a Jonnu, maybe with a little higher ceiling if he hits it for sure. But I love that. Athletic, can block. But look, this guy can dominate a game, as we mentioned. We've seen him do it in college. He definitely could do it in the pros. I mean, if he just gets the opportunity, I just worry about Cleveland. But this is a player, as far as a rebuild or buy, I love taking a chance on. I think it could really return good for you. But this is going to do it for this episode, guys. Oh, Mike's got
one more tight end you should maybe be interested in.
Okay, yeah, say it. Preach.
Gunnar Helm.
Gunnar Helm with the Tennessee Titans.
Over at Chicoquanquo.
I mean, again, this is a guy who's been, a 4th-round pick in most dynasty drafts, maybe even undrafted, right? If you have to give up a 4th to get him, he's made a lot of positive buzz in training camp. Chig has 1 year left on his deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And they drafted him in the 4th round. That's usually a decent spot for tight ends. He's a Mason. I had him above Mason Taylor before the draft. I'm sorry. And he's essentially Mason Taylor, a guy who's around the 1st down marker, easy check down, safety blanket type of guy, in that Dalton Schultz category. But if you watch that game against Atlanta a few weeks ago, where Tim Duncan rebound a jump ball over 2 defenders, it was crazy. I don't know if you guys saw that. But he's got some athletic ability I think is discounted.
Yeah, and like you said, get him for nothing. Maybe he's on the waiver wire. Maybe you could get him for a 4th or whatever. Why not? Throw something at the wall, see if it sticks. Even if he isn't one of them high ceiling guys, if you get a tight end that plays, it can be productive. You got another good roster player there. Maybe you could leverage in a trade later. Anything. We're always looking for value. Mike's the Cam Ward guy. He's been watching the Titans, so
there's been a lot of negative. Hold on. There's been a lot of negative buzz on Cam Ward on this podcast as well.
There has? What did I say? I don't think I'm guilty of that.
No,
I don't think I've been guilty.
No, it wasn't you. Not on this podcast. I'm sorry. On this network.
I don't think I've said anything crazy.
Ty was saying, he's looked bad. They're fighting in camp. This is everybody. Bob said, you mentioned Bob bringing up the culture thing. The Titans culture has been shitty for the past several years.
Well,
they needed a guy left. What's that? Yeah, since
I would say after
Vrabel left.
Vrabel,
Yeah. They needed a guy to come in there on that offense with some swagger, with a little bit of, balls to tell Jeffrey Simmons that I'm coming right at you, right? I love it. That's who the fight was between. It was between Simmons and Cam Ward. But if you've been watching some of the stuff, those two have been going at it all preseason long, right? Yeah. So I love to see it. And we are too low on Cam Ward on this podcast, and I'm going to make it my mission to bring him back up.
Mike is holding the banner. I love it. But no, like I said, this is going to do it for this episode. I love getting that chippy stuff in then. Just like that training camp fight. We got some stuff going on. I love it, the chippiness. But guys, it's been awesome. We appreciate all the support. Hard to believe the NFL season is pretty much a week away from us, right? We got all kinds of great things coming back on the Dynasty DNA Network. We got all of our normal shows we're going to be rocking. I'm going to also bring you Start Sit Saturday. Yet again, Slim will be handling some DFS stuff. Maybe he could con Wiz into doing something here and there, depending on how busy he is. Got to get that wizard hat on and pick some DFS picks. I always like when he does that. He's got some magic spirit fingers there. But guys, we appreciate the support again. Also, get ready for a little bit of the Dynasty DNA kickoff stuff. We're going to try to settle on that to get that out to you guys. It's going to be fun when we get to take shots on other people from other shows, a little cross branding. I know Mike would love to get in the Roma Dunze stuff with some people. He's definitely got his boxing gloves ready. He'd be ready to rumble on that. And I can't wait. So it's going to be funny. We're going to try to organize that and get that together real soon. If you guys are listening on Spotify, Apple Pod, Stitcher, Amazon, any of the big podcasting platforms, and you haven't yet, please follow and 5-star the show. It really helps, and we greatly appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to Dynasty DNA on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at DynastyDNA_. And as I always say, check out and follow Mike's podcast, Dynasty Dogs, as well. Available on all the podcasting platforms and YouTube. But this is going to do it for this episode. I know I speak for Wiz and Mike when I say, hope you guys have a great rest of your week ahead of you. And we will see you all on the next episode of the Triple Threat